welcome to our last session this festival. I know it was exhausted, it was a lot of program, but we are finishing, and I am very happy that our last webinar will be with Miljana Rogac. She's Serbian journalist, and she's from Istinomer, which is first media fact-checking center for the Balkan region, and they verify disinformation and deep fake published in media and social media. So Miljana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So can you hear me? I just need a bit of wave of hand. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I wasn't aware that this was the last session, so I feel some kind of a pressure not to be the most boring one. So yes, Stanka, thank you so much for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to meet you, even online. That's always more complicated, but like, I know this is making a connection that will last for sure. So before I share my presentation and start officially, so yes, I'm Miljana Rogac. I'm a journalist and executive editor of Istinomer. And I'm in media more than 10 years now. I'm working as a fact checker more than 5. And honestly, I really believe that all things that we collect as a knowledge, especially about the AI manipulations, I think it can be used not just during our work, but also, in our private life as building the immunity against misuse of our data or of our photos, of our videos or whatever. So I think this is some kind of, as I said, like immunity against violence, digital violence, manipulation, possibly surveillance, and etc. So my plan for today, Stanka said, like we have approximately two hours. I made a concept of this webinar, but I'm really willing to change if I see that something is like too boring for you or something is more excited. I will change the rhythm of my agenda. So before I start with the AI manipulations and all the tools and the forensics that everything I use and my team use in everyday life, what is the plan for today? So I'm going to share you like some basic information about my media because it's going to be useful for you for sure, just to know the context where I'm working and what's happening now. Then we will discuss, or I'm going to share some information about ongoing stuff, extremely important for the context. AI manipulation, of course, but any other manipulation that is happening. And then we're going to discuss like specific cases we analyzed through this past couple of years, and the most influential, the hardest one, or the most the famous manipulations. And of course, at the end, I'm going to share some things we are debating right now about AI. So maybe possible solutions or recommendations. I'm not even sure because I'm not a tech person. I'm a journalist. Everything I learned like these past couple of years. And every journalist who's coming from the social sciences and humanities is usually in some kind like beginning level or medium level of knowledge, because this is totally new for all of us and no one is late for anything. Like everything is happening on days and during our other tasks. There are no like strict rules. We are all discussing it right now. So I'm going to share my presentation and then we're going to start and follow the plan. I hope you got some good sleep or good coffee, and I hope really that I'm not going to be too annoying this early in the morning, Friday morning. So I'm sharing right now. Share. Okay. I hope you can see this. Okay, so as I said, like I'm doing fact checking for more than 5 years, and a couple years before this day, I attended Digital Sherlock's online school or like course that lasts a couple of months, and I recommend it to you. It's happening every year, every fall and every spring. It's organized by Digital Forensic Research Lab, and it's really intense, full of information, full of different trainings and aspects about different social media techniques that I'm sorry, just a second, something is, yeah, okay. That's something I would like to recommend to you. And what to expect from me today, I really want to share all of the experience I gathered in last couple of years to highlight some things that I really think they're important for you as young journalists. And then, of course, please keep on your mind if you have some doubt, idea, dilemma, you came across with some maybe manipulation connected with Balkan or Europe, feel free to reach me. It's totally fine. Like, I'm here like for you. So don't hesitate. You're going to have my contact number, my email, whatever. Just please write, text me, whatever. So when I talk about the media I work for, it's like Istinomer, it's Truthometer. And a couple months ago, we celebrated 15 years now. I'm not going to bother you with all the boring details about our work, but I think it's really important to highlight because our media is a really good illustration of how media changed in Serbia in last 15 years. At the beginning, the idea of fact-checking was like to promote accountability and good examples, and politicians also telling the truth and some good stories. But year after year, we came to the situation that one person is dominating our public space. Our president is mostly rated among politicians, that's why. But these couple of years now, I can say we live in a society which is ruled by spin, and manipulation is something that is normal in our media. AI and the new technology is something that makes it more complicated than ever. But the basic problem is propaganda, spin, and media manipulations happening every day on different levels and on different platforms. So we rated and fact-checked more than 4,000 statements made by politicians during these 15 years. And I think less or around 1,000, I'm not sure, 1,000 viral manipulation also. We started to deal with viral manipulation during Corona, of course. It was a huge crisis when we started to check what's happening on social media. And we learned a lot. We learned, and maybe lesson number one is that all the manipulations are creating one ecosystem. Everything is connected, and there is no isolated piece of manipulation. Because even if you analyze one story and one disinformation, there's always a narrative behind it, always a bigger story and bigger picture and puzzle, as you will see later with the specific examples. So, one warning: if you see or if you hear someone barking, it's my dog. Please forgive me. He's spoiled, and he's probably be annoying, but that's the only obstacle during this webinar. I hope everything else is going to be peaceful. After my cute dog, I will share you what is happening right now. So I'm not going to play it until the end. It's not important. It's just illustration, just include. So on the left side is one of the biggest protests in new history of Serbia, happened on 15 March. And on the right side are students that Serbian students that yesterday came to Salzburg. So like this is a piece of information that is very valuable and important in this very moment. Why? Students, your colleagues, young people of your age in Serbia, basically made some kind of change in last couple months. You can see headlines I highlighted, like how Gen Z did what they've done, like unexpected journey, or is it like a global movement, or is it global hope and optimism? What's happening? Like everyone are asking the same question because something happened that we didn't recognize is going to happen. No one knew that there are so many young people oriented towards democracy and against corruption. I can say firmly, live in a state of repression. So a lot of bad things happened during past years and nowadays too. The initial event that moved protests happening these past few months was a tragedy in Novi Sad. A canopy on a railway station collapsed, killed 15 people. 16 victims died a couple days ago. And that was like a huge spark that moved our country, especially our students, who were the one who brought some kind of change in our mind specifically. So after this tragedy, little groups of students started to just stand in silence for 15 minutes on the streets. And then some people close to government attacked them. And then some students blocked their faculties and the wave was moved. So since November, now is like middle of April, since November, we have like faculties under blockades, protests happening all the time, everywhere around the country. And we have young people who inspired us to go out on the streets. And this this never happened before. Of course, because they were like an element of some change in our mind, especially. We say now that fear changed aside, like people are afraid much less than before. In the meantime, couple of people are arrested because of the fall of the canopy. Some people resigned, some minister, but the key problem is not solved, and that's huge corruption that allowed this collapse of this huge project, reconstruction of the railway, etc. The first thing that happened after the protest started was like the spin machinery was on, like the students being targeted immediately. And first, like the government and the politicians was threatening them. They used like very usual manipulation against students, but they somehow stayed intact. How? We're still trying to find the answer to that. But the interesting is that like we had like huge protests, more than 100,000 people in Belgrade in December. In the meantime, as I said, like protests everywhere. And then on 15 March, around 300,000 people gathered in Belgrade. I'm not going to waste our time talking about the incident that happened during that protest, but I can inspire you to look up for facts, because during the night, during the protests, there are like doubts that the sound weapon was used against gathered people, made a mess, and like we gathered a couple thousand statements of people witnessing that they had consequences because of something that happened. It wasn't like a panic. It was something, some sonic weapon probably, and that's a huge case going on. But like even that thing didn't stop protests. I highlighted everything that was used against young people like you. So this is the list of the spins that was targeting them. So the officials tried to promise them some cheap apartments. So they tried to buy them. So they were claiming for weeks that all demands of students were fulfilled, because the demands of students are very clear and short. Like, you know, everyone responsible have to be arrested. Everyone who attacks us has to be arrested. You know, investigate the project, publish all the documentation. It's all very taxative, like bullet by bullet written. And the government was saying like, oh, but everything is fulfilled. Well, it wasn't. Our president tried to keep all the attention for himself, like he usually do. And something interesting was a reaction of the students. Like, they just said, you're not in charge for these things. Like, you are just president. Just keep your function in your place. This is not your task. So the media, tabloids very close to the regime, try to link the students' movement with the opposition. So they tried some tactics from the 90s, which is very known for the like a dark time here. So they were trying to connect them with like secret service from Croatia, to try connect them with politicians from Kosovo. So they, in tabloids, they published numbers much less than real numbers that was happening on the streets, and just creating a lot of noise, a lot of confusion and fog, and trying to destabilize like that was happening. All spins coming on the surface, all manipulation and disinformation, targeting, language fueled with violence. Everything was just, propaganda machine doing like 100% strength against these students. And what they're trying to do is like to discredit them, to question their motives, to demonize them like when they can. And usually what they're trying to do is, of course, to use fear of people in general to explain this is like colored revolution or something like that. And I on purposely used the term colored revolution. I'm going to just give you one statement. You probably could, with your phone, could link with this QR code. I'm not sure, but please try. Just give it a shot. Because the statement is, behind the stars is the name of a state, of a city. Is facing another attempted color revolution, or rather a coup d'etat. Let's hope that it will be thwarted. This is a statement made by one politician. And I purposely didn't mention the name because I wanted to, maybe you heard it before or not. I don't see that you managed, but never mind.
Are there, it's Slido AI manipulations.
Yes, and then click on it, and there's a quiz question with the states.
No, we cannot see. It's anything there. It's nothing. It's
okay.
Empty.
Let me try just a second. Can you see it now? So I mentioned Serbia, Slovakia, USA, and Georgia. I see one vote. Okay, so it's happening. 2 votes. Okay, I see 4. I will give you a couple more seconds.
I couldn't vote because voting is closed. And I was very slowly. I couldn't react.
Don't worry. Wait. So I will read it. Like Serbia, Slovakia, USA, and Georgia were among answers, and the students and who managed to answer said Serbia, Slovakia, and USA. The correct answer is actually Georgia, but in this case it's Georgia. Do you see my presentation? I just need a like. Do you see it now? Yeah, okay. It's Georgia, but the same phrase is actually used also in Serbia, in Slovakia, and now in the United States. So you weren't wrong, but like this specific statement is made by Georgia. And why I highlighted this? Well, a couple weeks ago, my media outlet did something together with colleagues from Slovakia, from Demagog, and also with colleagues from Georgia. We analyzed actually how protests that are happening in all three countries are targeted by officials and like media in general. Believe it or not, we found the pattern, and we didn't know that we were going to find. We just did an analysis like every team for each own country, and then we got like the same results. And okay, this is really interesting. So basically the same or almost the same narratives are used against protest in all these countries, like Georgia, Slovakia, and Serbia. I highlighted here. I'm not going to read it, but like I'm going to explain it. So, color revolution and foreign interference is something that is used in all three countries. So governments frame. You for sure know more about Slovakia than I, but like I'm talking like based on these results we got. Governments framed protests as foreign attempts to destabilize the country, and that's something, it's not new. It's like manipulation that is surfaced like very often. In Serbia, we can hear that like every couple months whenever we have some kind of protest. You can hear from the government, oh, it's like foreign interveners, foreign spies trying to hurt their own country. And another common tactic that we find as similar is portraying, targeting people, protesters, as puppets of foreign agenda. So, is it like a deep state, or is it like the West, or some specific country like they do in Serbia, sometimes with Croatia, but it's very like similar and common tactic for dealing with people on the streets. And then like a third thing we found out, it was like fear and conspiracy and hybrid warfare that is used, which is not unusual. Fear is emotion, very easy to manipulate and very easy to use, especially with spreading disinformation. I'm going to mention that later, but like imagine society like I'm talking about now in Serbia, traumatized by the wars, by the NATO bombing, poverty, transition, and then you can have like such an easy material to target all those people with different fears, because yes, collectively we are traumatized. And then when you have that kind of people, it's so easy to spread fear and spread theory, conspiracies, and manipulation with some common enemies, because you need an enemy to highlight yourself, like government officials, yourself as a peace and stability factor, and pro-state politicians who are defending their own people, etc. And like fourth thing I wanted to highlight is this aligning with global authoritarian trends. It's interesting because before we could look around Europe, around the world, and see some good examples of some mature institutions and well-developed democracies. Now you can see what's happening all around the world, and you can see how challenging times are, even in different countries in EU, not just like in small countries like Serbia, of course. This term like deep state, foreign agents, color revolution is the phrases used very often. And, I just want to flag it, pay attention, because when you hear it, it is probably something manipulative coming after those kind of claims. I'm going to ask you, did you see Pikachu maybe in the news, or yes? I see. Okay. Well, Pikachu is something not so funny, because what's happening in Turkey is also disturbing. People are protesting after arresting one of the opposition leaders, or the concurrent of the Erdogan. So this specific picture is AI. So this picture is not authentic, but Pikachu really ran around. There is a real footage, some low resolution footage of someone masked in this character, but this specific picture is a manipulation, unfortunately. And that's something that happens all the time whenever is a crisis happening, like real huge crisis, like war in Ukraine, Gaza, or like protests or elections. You can see these waves of just explosions of usually visual manipulations. Of course, like there are different kind of them, but like those visual are very very easy to see. So, and it's nice to see this picture. People will share it and comment it and give it their attention. And I saw a lot of my friends shared this, not being aware that is a manipulation. So after all this context, talking about what happened in Serbia, what's common among Georgia, Slovakia, and Serbia, about these tactics against young people that are on the streets trying to inspire this society, I'm going to do a little step back. And with this Pikachu, I want to inspire us just to imagine what everything what is possible to manipulate in a digital space and in media. So as I said, like we work and do fact-checking almost more than 15 years. But like 2 years ago, we also started doing something that is spin checking. What is that? Spin checking is like addition to fact checking. And it's not something revolutionary. It's something we had to do because we realized when we fact check something, it's not enough. We need like more context, more data. We need number of appearance of that politician in public. We need where manipulation was shared, why, which are the channels that are spreading manipulations, which kind of language is used, which phrases, is it connected with some inauthentic behavior online or whatever. Like all those details are giving us the wider picture and all those small puzzle pieces for like clear conclusion in analyzing one manipulation. So that's we are doing, okay, fact checking, spin checking, and digital forensics for this kind of little investigations. And this information is finally highlighted as a huge problem in context, also in defending like democracy, because we realize that like news avoidance is really a huge problem in general, but according to as I recall, Reuters numbers in Serbia is like one of the highest, I think more than 60%, but that was like before the protest. People actually actively avoid news. And it's a pattern, it's a trend globally. So if you have people who are avoiding the news, avoiding the facts, informations, which I don't judge, I understand completely because it's too loud, it's too crowded, it's annoying, confusing, violent. You have like people in power position who have all the resources for the manipulation on televisions with national frequency, online. They have all the AI, tools and intelligence they need for manipulate our mind and political will. So I guess, yes, we can say we are in trouble, like globally. And you can see the results, in United States, what's happening, USAID cuts, what's happening with media in general. Is it affecting, the malign narratives just circling around different countries? Yes, it's just making our lives more difficult. One piece of advice I want to share is when you see sudden, like, wave of similar photos, similar comments or conclusions, or one story that is already on all platforms, just stop. Take a breath and choose the source which you want to, believe. Why? Well, because when I say we analyze this information, it's always a piece of this information, of course. But the much complicated problem are these systemic manipulations, conspiracy theories, coordinating campaigns on social media, and also organizing continuous propaganda actions in different media, online media, with politicians, etc. All this networked and connected with new technologies, well, can make our life basically a hell. Why? Because you can see people in power using or misusing conspiracy theories for getting more votes, for some extreme part of the society. Or you can see suddenly your news feed or page on social media that is flooded with some topic that you didn't know anything about, but now you're in the middle of it here, and it got all of your attention, worry, and your fear. And also, when these techniques are well scripted, it can also be used against you as a person maybe who wants to be a researcher, journalist, someone who protests, or someone who's questioning the official narratives, or someone who's disagreeing with the official, whatever official is. So that's something I wanted to just, also flag. Whenever there are so many emotions, just, take a breath, take a minute, and then, take a control in your hand. Don't put yourself out to algorithm. Personally, I'm online, like, basically, I mean almost all social media I use, professionally and privately. I love social media. I love, that kind of interaction and informing myself, whatever. But it's a rabbit hole, and if you don't curate your feed very, cautiously and mindfully, you're going to get caught in someone's trap. I'm not talking only about politicians. I'm talking about the, tech owners and maybe hackers, or maybe someone organizing some kind of malign operation against one country. So that's something I covered with these couple bullets. I'm going to mention later on with specific cases what we used in analyzing, but like the first step, and don't forget, never, I guess some of you use it, like reverse image search. Start with that, like whatever is happening, whatever you got in your message, in your WhatsApp group or Instagram there or whatever, like reverse image search. It's like right click on it, and you have that option, and just, let it be searched. You can see then when it's going to, when was it published first, who published it also, but like don't be lazy about it, just use it. It's going to be a habit. You should, because we are all just exposed to so many things and so many toxic and malign things that we really need to have some basic immunity against it, and reverse image search is one of the little tools against it for sure. Things about the campaign and spin checking as more complicated version of fact checking, but my team and I really insist on those spins because they have all the characteristics of disinformation campaigns. They are shared on different platforms, in different media. They're very strong, targeting specific story, because spin is reframing the story. It's not usually, or it's not often just a lie. It's alternative reality that someone wants you to believe it. We did a lot of reading and analyzing, collecting data and researching about spin. Sometimes journalists are part of it. It's dangerous, thing, because we don't know who are spin doctors in our country for sure, but sometimes journalists are rushing, trying to get some facts, trying to investigate, be the first, be the have most clicks or to survive on the market, and then they fall into trap of some wise and wealthy spin doctor. So I'm not gonna push it around this topic, but I wanted to just mention a couple things. Spin can be emphasizing one part of the story. It can be, pushing on the side another part of the story, creating a completely new frame of story if needed. So it's just very elegant but violent, recreating the reality we live in. I'm not gonna bother you with that anymore, but I'm going to mention just, for example, some kind of spin techniques, because it's very interesting for me, but so I want to share. For example, leaking information. So leaking, you give politician or someone in power gives an information to a journalist with condition, just don't check with other side, don't check with any other source, believe it because I'm giving it to you exclusively. That's very a cunning technique used a lot. So also drop by drop technique, it's keeping favorite journalists as a source of exclusive information. That's something happening in Serbia all the time, and I see it globally also, but that's also a very usual tool. And also spin technique is ignoring the media. For example, my media is sending questions to the politicians all the time. I think more than 90% of our questions stay unanswered, they just ignores us. That's very violent and a very bad practice, but it's happening, and it's part of the much wider manipulation. So before we continue, do you remember this? Kate Middleton and the scandal with the story. I'm not sure. My feed was flooded with this last year, and I'm not gonna, of course, waste our time discussing about the Buckingham Palace and their press strategy. But this picture was altered, digitally altered. It was published after some time that she disappeared from the public. In one day, couple media, big media, decided to remove it because they got it as a media official piece statement of the palace, and they decided to remove it because there were some pieces of alteration. And it showed a much worse problem we are dealing with. I don't want to comment Kate Middleton and the facts about soap opera they're living. I don't care, but mainstream became aware how this confusing can be. difference between the facts and the lies, between the truth and the lies, between something is authentic and something is inauthentic. We really have a hard time claiming something like that. So this picture was altered. Allegedly, she photoshopped something. I don't know. It's completely irrelevant. But it was like one of the first steps that inspire huge wave of conspiracies about Kate Middleton. Is she alive? What's happening with the marriage? But like a lot of disinfo and info pollution in media and social media, because one piece it's enough, and it happened, and it showed that most of the people don't know how to check it, don't know how or what percentage of result of tools is enough for claim, oh, this is true or this is not. A lot of questions stayed in the air still. But that's something like, I chose it because everyone were talking about it, not just journalists and researchers, but like everyone globally. And it's a good illustration of how it can easily spark a debate and doubt and conspiracies, just like one photo. Okay, so this is like very concrete advices how to detect AI generated content. Like, okay, Kate Middleton, she's not important for us or for you as a group, but this situation will repeat for sure, like not with her, but with someone relevant and part of the mainstream for sure. You need, not just as a journalist, but like as a normal average person, we need to check our sources. We need to check fact checkers who are doing just, this all the time. Did they publish something similar? That's why I said, reverse image search, and, for start, Google it before you like it or share it to someone. So try to see, did fact checkers already fact checked it? A lot of media I see lately are hesitate to give it some kind of rate or claim. They just give, we gathered all the evidence, this is our conclusion for now, but it's really useful for anyone. Okay, just we cannot say it's true or not, but this is our useful facts, and I personally believe it's a good approach, just not to stay silent about any kind of piece of potential disinfo or not. We should always check traditional media. You can see, especially people who are fond of conspiracies, how they, are in doubt of, I don't know, CNN, Reuters, AFP, or whoever. But we should always check what these media say, because they are big teams with huge policies and teams doing a lot of things, and can be useful trace for further investigation or some conclusion of our own. Some signs that are always suspicious. Is it that potential manipulation coming from anonymous account? Is it account that follows, thousands of people and have no followers? Is it account that like doesn't comment, doesn't reply, just maybe retweeting or pushing something manipulative on their own feed? And those are really detective skills, as this, webinar say. Like, really be suspicious about it and use logic as first couple of steps. A little warning sign is, I like AI tools, of course. I use them all the time, but we don't have a tool that is like 100% reliable, and that we can just use it for, okay, one picture or video, whatever. I will use this one tool, it's going to give me a result, and I'm going to use it as enough evidence that is enough for my conclusion. That's not going to happen. And it's making our lives much more complicated, but it is what it is. So tools are just part of our investigations and your investigations. Um, we personally, I use InVid Verify. I'm going to send all of the recommendations, of course, after our meeting. But InVid Verify is like a room with tools I really like to use, and also Bellingcat. Like they have wonderful base of tools, and they're making new tools all the time. It's really good and useful for all of us. So thank you, Bellingcat. But as I said, tools are just part of our job. For complicated cases, we really need not just tools, but also experts, our own expertise too, little traces of doubt, like to really try to gather as many facts as possible, not just to stop us on one of the steps. So when it comes about AI images, we have to be detectives and to look for the little suspicious traces. AI are still, they can be really good, and I'm not going to say perfect, but our feed are not polluted often only with those perfect AI products, but also with some cheap deepfakes or some, easier versions of manipulations. And we should have that on our mind, to keep our eyes on the fingers, on the ears, colors. Is it like how to say, a clear boundary between the colors and the clothes? Everything blurry is suspicious. A couple of years ago, one of the biggest, the most important threats would be number of fingers, but like that was like a couple of years ago. Now that's solved. But you should keep an eye on it, even if it's like very nice and good picture. Maybe it's too nice. Just look at, is it blurry eyes? Is it something, suspicious about it? We had a very interesting case here in Serbia. One media, which is really credible, relevant, and highly professional, but they made a mistake. They did an interview a couple of years ago, I think it was about Ukraine or something, with an expert. And it was like an expert with some guy from Twitter. And actually, that person didn't exist. He sent that profile, sent to the journalist his picture, his profile picture for Twitter. It was actually a person who doesn't exist. And there's a website, person who doesn't exist. Also, I will send it to you. You can check, like, a website using AI can create a face that doesn't exist, like, in a couple seconds. And it's very useful for the people who want to manipulate with us. So we have to be cautious. If we we have sourced someone online, we have to check, of course, that if that person exists, his or her connections, online profiles, biography, official CV. We should call them, talk with them. If not in person, if it's not possible, it would be good to have meeting online to see those faces, because everything is possible. And a new layer of trouble for everyone, especially for us journalists, is AI audio. That's a hell. Why? Because it's really, really hard to say that something is fake for sure or true for sure. And we had examples in the news. I mean, before the elections in United States, some fake audio calls was happening. Like Biden was calling people. No, he wasn't, but his voice was used for those audio calls, and people couldn't recognize that it was fake because it was so good. It's really easy to create it, and it's really hard to analyze it. But there are some, how to say, warnings for us, when I say us, I mean journalists without tech background who has to deal with AI manipulation as a detective every day. Sorry. Patterns. We really have to pay attention to choices of words, intonation. Is it natural breathing happening or a natural pauses, not other elements? But we cannot do it, of course, on our own. We have to use different tools and call someone who's really an expert about it. That's like my advice. And we did it because we had some kind of problem with that. AI-generated video, also, they are better and better. Around with different faces. I usually see a lot of politicians, but we in Serbia had a huge problem with porn deepfakes. I don't see. It was a couple cases. I'm personally not satisfied how the institutions reacted. I don't think that still people in those institutions understand how dangerous this is and how new and how it's improving all day, every day, while they are waiting for some new law. So that's something also that makes my eyebrows go up. After these advices coming from official, different media organization, media literacy experts, etc., but I respect them and I use them in my work also. I think that it's really, really interesting to understand that that's something I said at the beginning. Every disinformation is part of a puzzle. Even if it sounds stupid, oh my god, this is fake for sure. It could be stupid. It could be like some very easy to analyze manipulation. But even that, like, there's two huge consequences that we should not ignore. First one is that it's distorting, blurring the line between the facts and the lies. And second, it makes visual element less valuable as proof, which is really, really concerning for our work. I have a lot of debate, and not just me, but like I heard it among fact checkers all around the world, and people are disagreeing about that. I hear from people commenting, okay, but how many more years we are going to use visual like evidence as evidence? I heard one of my colleagues said like, okay, but like that's finished in a year because the AI is going to be so superb that we are finished with that. And then I hear another arguments from other side. Okay, maybe it's not so, horror movie. It's going to it's going to happen slower, but I'm something in between because, a year ago, no one was talking this much and about ChatGPT and no one was using it this much, and now everyone just, it became a part of the routine of a lot of people. I wanted to highlight, as I said, like tools, great. We use them. We should follow the trends, see what's happening, what's new happening. A lot of newsrooms are working together to create some useful tools for the community in general, which is great. Thank you. But as I said, it's a slow work, and crises are explosions. And usually, and as you know, the lies are spreading much faster than truth, makes our lives more complicated. But for us, that's what is useful. It's useful to have very, not strict, but very clean methodology in our work. Being fact checkers or not, it's useful to have, for investigation, for fact checking, for reporting, from the field, to have tasks, bullets. I'm doing this and this, and in this step I'm going to consult my editor. In this I'm going to consult someone more experienced or expert or so. But like, you have to have a plan, and that's something that can keep us still working on alive on this market that keeps our sanity, keeps us safe, and keeps us from the potentially, prosecutions. One of the strongest narrative, let's get back on the Serbia reality. The strongest narrative in our media ecosystem, in our public, is anti-West. So that's something, as I said, there's no silly manipulations. We can see a lot of, how to say, manipulations are trying to shame West, like stupid West. They don't know anything about the families, the values, the life, whatever, But that's also something wrapped in that anti-West narrative that is circling around in our public for years now. And through these concrete examples of AI manipulations and deepfake manipulations, you will see that always there's a larger story behind it. I chose top 10 stories I want to share with you, and to share what doubts we had and how we worked. I'm not going to be boring and more detail. I'm going to just, top 10 cases. Those are the highlights. And if you're interested, you can later ask me or text me or read it in full concept after the webinar when you get some rest. So first one, I chose Pikachu because it's a good example. So we have something real happened. Some person was wearing that mask, running around during the real protests, but as a wave, it happened. It happened in a couple hours, I think. A bunch of very similar picture to this was shared mostly on Twitter, as I saw, but Twitter and Facebook. We used for these fake ones or inauthentic, we use Deepfakeometer, Hive Moderation, AR Not 11 Labs. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tools, and they all said it's likely AI generated. We found one of the originals that was marked, it was fake, but during the sharing online, it lost that mark. So that's something that often happens. And it makes us easier to check. So not just the tools helps us here. It also some distortions. Well, this is small picture, but if you saw it online, then you could find it later. Around the uniforms of the police officers, blurs in the background behind this little Pikachu. So it was really a lot of suspicious traces, and yeah, it's inauthentic even if it's cute. Sometimes you want to believe it, but okay, it's not real. The second manipulation I wanted to mention here, it's Hollywood sign that it's on fire. And I purposely chose this. It's fake. So also we used different tools. We found the one of the original things that was shared. Grok made it. Grok on Twitter or X social media, and I wanted to highlight this manipulation because we saw fact checks from the English language region. So colleagues already checked this picture, but it came to Balkan in Serbian reality also. So we had different fact checks as sources also. Some experts analyzed it too, tools also, and none of the media, credible media, had a report about Hollywood sign burning. But the copy around these fake pictures was, it's a sign. And the comments were oh, it's finally happening, the West is on fire, collapsing. So, that was the narrative behind it, a little, even, cheering because something bad happened on that evil, evil, evil West. Third example is Kamala Harris. She became a target of disinformation after she got attention as a candidate for the presidential race. And she really was inspiration, it wasn't spontaneous, of course, for the manipulations online. One of the first one we found online was this AI fake picture of Kamala Harris and Jeffrey Epstein, and not just tools, but like you can see when you zoom it, a lot of distortions, as I said, blur things around, and people believe it because they wanted to believe it. I guess, you know, they needed to portray her as the bad guy in that universe. Another often star of the disinformation or AI manipulation is the Pope. We have a lot of analysis with him. Usually some fake quotes, some descriptions that really are manipulated out of context or made up completely. And a lot of the examples are actually these AI pictures. Some are deepfake too. Also, what I'm not going to mention, but this is one of the pieces we found originally in a Telegram group. In one Telegram very popular in Serbia group or channel, very pro-Russian. It was led by, it is still led by one of the pro-Russian, how to say, I think he's also a fighter. I think he fights for them too. And it circled around from that channel. It's fake, of course, but it got a lot of attention, a lot of comments, and a lot of believers, because that's also one of the narratives, very strong, you know, evil West, evil Pope, and whatever. That's something that lives strongly. Another photo, it's old, but it's interesting to show how politicians always get attention. Netanyahu, he, at the time when this was circling around, he really had some issues, but like this was completely fake, and you can see it, and like it's too polished, but some people believed it. And BBC Verify, BBC had really good team of professionals and forensic analysts. They recognized this piece as one of the pieces used in earlier campaigns, disinformation campaigns, and that's something that happens really often. Recycling the pictures, recycling the manipulation, the narrative, the story, or using some old details. That's happening like all the time. Number 6, yes. When I saw this, I was like, okay, that's not possible. And of course, it was made by Midjourney. For a couple months, Midjourney was really popular among manipulators, and a lot of picture was made by it, and it was like signed, but someone would crop it and share it and like lose the trace of Midjourney name. Also used during protest of French farmers, used to show, I remember the narrative and the comments, used to show also the bad West treating the protests poorly. And one of my favorite examples, because it's completely silly, but yes, it happened. We have here in Serbia one old lady, conspiracist. She's like, you know, funny to listen, but like completely out of the, you know, facts and truths. And she said, or inspired someone to make this video of Elon Musk, who says, oh, I'm from Republika Srpska. It's part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And people shared this as a joke. And we didn't react because okay, everyone see this as a joke, okay, but then you got this message as like a real, okay, look what he said, that started happening. So we had to react, even it was like silly on the first thought, but like, okay, this is not silly, really, we have to check it. So our journalists, of course, checked it and found the original like picture of him sitting, and actually it was like the original trace was a parrot AI voice generator. You can, you know, make any famous person say whatever you want and make a short video. Someone did it and managed to get a lot of attention thanks to this gentleman before he become politician. This is old one from 2023, and I chose it because we analyze it as a warning about, you know, distortion between truth and manipulations, without realizing that 2 years later is going to be a way worse. So this was like 2 years ago, and yeah, you can see, I mean, I can see it's fake, but also made by Midjourney, very popular in our online world in Serbia. Another person targeted by disinformation in our space is Zelensky, and he's very often part of some disinformation that we analyze. Not just pictures, videos, statements, whatever, a lot work around him. And usually narrative behind all those disinformation is that he is fond of, you know, corruption, he doesn't care about Ukraine, he's enjoying the luxury, whatever. That's like the story about all those manipulations actually targeting the Ukrainian president. Those manipulations do come sometimes from the Telegram channels with some pro-Russian propaganda, but not always, you know, it's coming from the different sides very often. This one, this is French president. It was happening during Olympic Games, and this deepfake video was made with real pictures, but it was like real visual pictures with little bit distortions, and made a video like him kissing some person. So it's not true. We analyzed it, but it was happening during the Olympic Games. Olympic Games also were part of different disinformation campaigns. So France was under spotlight, not surprisingly, at the moment, with those narratives, you know, bad president, bad organization, bad West, anti-LGBT rhetoric, and everything was just intertwined and boosted during the games. I chose two examples that we really had problems here, and I think that's something that's going to happen more and more in the future. I'm not being pessimistic. I think I see the trend. So just a second. We have owner of one very popular television here with national frequency, who made a deepfake video of opposition politicians. He did it, as he said, as a humor, but then he let it aired in the news in the evening. So a lot of people weren't aware that it's a deepfake. They just saw politician saying some nonsense, and if you put your focus, you can see some weird movement of the mouth, which can be a trace. But if you're just watching and not paying so much attention, you would believe it's true. So that's one of the things that really should concern public like someone in a position of power, having television, having media, and all the resources, decided to do something like this, and no sanctions or no consequences for him. So just, opportunity to do it more when he decided to do it more. A much more interesting thing, and I think this is useful, lesson learned. At the beginning of this protest happening in Serbia, as I mentioned at the beginning, one opposition politician published audio of this gentleman on the left side. He's part of the Progressive Party, which one is a ruling party, and you could hear his conversation when he was delegating some orders. You should do this, you should do that, you should target someone in protests. So it was very, hostile rhetoric and bad intention in that conversation. And what he did that was AI. So now you have that new kind of, argument in the public. Politician said, okay, no, you didn't caught me. That's not evidence. It's an AI conversation. That's not me. It's not my voice. And that kind of excuse we heard from him and from the president of Serbia, who repeated his words, who was quoting him like, that's AI, and basically, case closed. So, of course, what we had to do, we had to analyze it. And after that first reaction coming from the officials, like that's AI, that's artificial intelligence, and who cares, basically. All the tools we used, like Audacity and Sonic Visualizer, show the absence of unnatural patterns or anomalies. And we decided that, okay, here are the evidence. We discovered this. These are our findings. We are not going to rate it or not, because they're not 100% true. But okay, we can say this is probably authentic. But this is also a new perspective of problem in our work and in digital forensics in general, how to prove something completely true or completely wrong. And especially when, as I said, just a journalist learning all these tech rules and trends, things to work on an everyday level, but we need, as a journalist, a network of experts, I'm afraid, because these things are going to get harder to check in the future for sure. So all those cases, I hope they are illustrated what we are dealing with. They're all, the small pieces of this information with really good timing, I would say intentionally. No one is spreading it just, for the sake of the day. And I always say, even if our team had 100 journalists, we would have a lot of work to do. But we have to choose it because we are a small team. So just, to circle this part around, there's a lot of, I hear from the colleagues, there's a lot of fear of AI in general, but it can be really useful in our work for some repetitive tasks, for, I don't know, maybe for translating, for organizing data or facts. We should not run away from the AI, see it as an enemy. It can be useful, but new threats and new risks are something we have to deal with. And I did a lot of digging, to see, is there, some useful practice or strategy. There is a lot of, new approach on the EU part, especially with all the new big legal acts, but it's all new. It's not alive yet. And these on the side of AI or OpenAI, generative intelligence, a lot of new things is happening. So we should keep them in touch in front of our eye, but I'm afraid we're going to lose. We are already losing that run. One of the solutions I heard, and I think it's very useful, from fact checkers, I think from England, they propose that the people who give some piece of audio or video shoot or whatever, they are the one who should prove that it's authentic or it's not authentic if that's the claim. So that baggage of claim should be on the side of the source. And that's interesting approach because if you remember, as I said, some people believe that visual is not going to be evidence in our stories anymore very soon. It's interesting to change the perspective and to try to, is it maybe should be, marked. That's one of the propositions I've heard after the EU elections. Maybe watermarking AI generated content everywhere, but also we need not forget about the transparency and accountability and global knowledge sharing. Why? EU elections showed us that really sharing the fact checks, doing together work as like European fact-checking network can be really, really useful. Before the EU elections, I think people really was frightened what can happen. Is it going to happen some AI manipulation that's going to destroy all the process or some candidates or whatever? That didn't happen, but the collaboration between fact checkers who were fact checking all different narratives in their own states about the elections, even in non-EU states like Serbia, showed us like that those manipulations are connected, there are patterns, and there are findings you can have after all those data collected in a short time span. So as I said, like on the level of the EU, EU Parliament adopted the AI Act, some comprehensive regulation of AI. DSA and DMA, like huge legal acts, can potentially play a role in that fight against disinformation and dealing with the big tech companies also. But it's all new. Like those are like still baby steps. Comparing to United States, they're huge steps, but like on the field, in our work, you can see it's just start of a start. So, as I said, EU elections last year was really a huge topic for the fact checkers, and we expected much more problems. It didn't happen, but it is a huge lesson like learned where we should put our attention and what we should do, and that we should do things together. So let's see what's next. Very useful case study I here wanted to highlight too is the investigation of colleagues from Germany, Correctiv. So it shows us how well disinformation campaign can be organized and spread. Correctiv, with some other colleagues, discovered more than 100 fake websites with the organized and produced and content published also with AI. And the purpose of all these fake websites was to influence election campaign in Germany. And what they discovered, that campaign was created just before the elections, and those narratives for example, Germany is going to mobilize 500,000 men for an operation in Eastern Europe and something like that, or Germany signed a migration agreement to bring almost 2 million Kenyans to Germany. Like a lot of fear-mongering language of hate speech, but that was producing and spreading through these 100 websites. And Correctiv, as I said, Correctiv discovered it, and they discovered it was just to check, it was actually those fake claims they discovered on these fake websites were part of the Russian operation known as Storm 1516, and it was like huge influence operation, and good job for them, bravo for them. um, this campaign and these patterns are used also, as they said and as they discovered, for targeting the USA elections, not just in Germany, but like very similar tools and the approach, creating like the network and content using AI for your own purpose, and just targeting the subject you want to target with very strong messages fueled with strong emotions, fear and hate. So very, very old propaganda style with some new weapons like AI, and very, very fast and very effective. So as a finale, I wanted to just underline a couple things. Like, as I said, no matter AI manipulation or usual suspect manipulation, the context is crucial. I shared today a lot of information about things happening in Serbia, because I think they're very relevant for not just for us, but for Europe and world in general, because it shows a lot of patterns. When you have controlled media, platforms under influence of maybe not so well-behaved people, captured institutions, and politicians who are more autocrats than democrats, then you are society living in a state, of fog, being gaslighted all the time and manipulated by some usual propaganda spin techniques. We now are dealing with a lot of repression. A couple months ago, Amnesty International discovered that some activists and journalists were under surveillance with new technologies like Pegasus. Journalists are being threatened all the time. Some of them were columnists. One columnist was arrested a couple days ago, and we are being targeted in tabloids, just as usual suspects, enemies, and as you can remember from the start, like foreign agents and enemies of the state. A month ago, a police raid happened in my organization. They came, like group of police officers came into our office to ask for the documents about the US aid. And that decision of a prosecutor is something that really shows another level of targeting a small organization and media who are just doing the facts. So you can see on one hand students, new energy, people who are not afraid anymore, organizing, going on the streets, looking for facts. These young people really wanted to hear facts, and I think they're immune to propaganda because they don't want to watch television. But on the other hand, you have propaganda mechanism, state propaganda mechanism, that is targeting everyone who is some kind of critical voice. When I think about the AI, I mentioned these 10 cases plus 2 that were like interesting in our work, but I don't want to be, as I said, pessimistic or to do some fear mongering, but AI should be a really important part of our tasks, in a way that we should not hide from it, run from it. We should use it, learn as much as possible, and to try to deal with the new risks and the new, good stuff that it brings to us, because I think there is a good stuff. I do have, a lot more data info to share, but I would like to hear if there are any, thing that you would like to ask, maybe, or I was confusing or too fast. I will share all recommendations I have for you, like all the tools that we use usually, recommendations for the AI tools in general, our methodology if someone needed. As I said, you're going to have my email. We can connect on social media, whatever. Like, please, reach out, ask, text me, whatever. I think for these kind of manipulations, we really should network and share knowledge, and that's something like we are not supposed to do these kind of things alone. That's my observation after these couple years of work. So yes, if you have a question, please ask.
So my question would be like, as we see, these type of manipulated contents get viral really quickly. So my question is like, statistically speaking, like these debunkings, like what your institution does, uh, how effective are they?
Thank you. That's something I ask myself in our team all the time. Statistically, I don't have like exact numbers, but I will share like a couple of insights that can be useful. First, like my media is still partner of Meta, is a third-party fact-checking organization. So everything we do online, everything we rate, it's going to get a lot less attention than it would be because we rate it on the platform. We don't, I mean, we are not removing any content. We don't have that power, but like our analysis that is added to some kind of manipulation is going to affect the algorithm in some way. So that's like a real consequence for a piece of manipulation. Another thing that made me really hopeful and optimistic, but like in the past couple weeks, is that I heard from the students who are very, as I said, immune to propaganda, and I was wondering why. They wanted to know more about the spin, propaganda, and facts, and they want to hear from us. Even though our media is not mainstream, we are a small team, they want the facts, and that's something that really made me, full of energy and life to give them the facts. Also, the consequences, I hear politicians, even though they ignore us, they're not going to answer us, they use our reports and our analysis in their own speeches, debates and whatever, and they use our material for them. So that's also a consequence. And another thing I see as a plus, we change our strategy as a media. We really are not focused only on our website, but we are also focused on our audience on different social media platforms. And you can see a growth of reach, of followers on different social media. So, okay, as I said, we are not mainstream, but the numbers are going high. And that's good. Because you can see that people want the fact, especially during the huge crisis. During Corona, our numbers were insane. Like we were getting really a lot of clicks because people were frightened and they wanted to know the truth that affect their health. So I hope I gave you some useful insights, because statistically, like some overall, I don't have it. And unfortunately, I think lie is always going to win in that kind of speed race. But if we are building the resilience, the immunity, the society, if we are defending democracy in general, or some I don't know, feministic values or whatever, then we have to do it like slow, because it's slow and hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for being here with us. I have two questions. First of them is, you said at the beginning that you've been involved in this issue for 5 or more than 5 years. So I'm interested in what led you personally to cover this issue, I mean, fact-checking.
Okay, one by one. Okay. That was a huge decision for me. Before fact-checking, I was working for a daily newspaper. And I always say, like, in my soul, I'm a newspaper girl, I like the newspapers and that kind of rhythm and producing the content. And then I got to the stage, I understood that, like, daily I work for was really under a lot of influence. of different, people in power. I didn't like that, so I left. And fact checking was something closest to the politics I wanted to analyze, because on the first thought, like fact checking, okay, you just check some statement that's so small, but like no, in general, you just analyze some really important topic through the lens of someone's claim, but you're actually doing political analysis on really deep level. That's something that really attracted my attention, and it's really challenging because you're always doubting yourself. I mean, always, and it changed, in effect, me even in a private way, because sometimes I get something very funny and cute and Pikachu that's running around the street, and I want to like it or share it with my friends, and then I stop like, oh my god, no, it's fake probably. I don't have time to check it. I'm just not gonna share it. So I just give up. It really seed a lot of doubt and being reserved and cautious. Sometimes that's really boring, but it keeps your brain alive because propaganda is very sneaky. And actually, I was saying about spin checking and those elegant manipulation, that's something that really interested me. And all those techniques connected with all these tech solutions, I think I'm going to focus a lot more of my energy to that, because I like being detective and I adore digital forensics, and also dealing with propaganda. So that's something that makes me inspired still, if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Thank you.
My second question, you were talking about it a bit already, but do you personally have any issue with authorities related to your work?
I mean, with what? I didn't hear.
With authorities.
Me personally, like me, Miliana, I wasn't targeted, but my team is. I mean, my media is often in the mouth of the president, and that's really awful because I usually hear from people, "Are you afraid?" Well, I'm not afraid. I don't go to my work with some sense of fear, but I'm totally aware of the repression. And that day that police raid came into my office, I was going to my work. I was on the street walking, and I got push notification from one tabloid, like, police raid is happening in Crta, in my organization. They entered and I was shocked. I texted my colleagues, guys, what's happening? Did police came? And they were like, no, they're not. 20 minutes after the tabloids published that police came into our office, police came into our office. So when you're aware how connected are most of the controlled media with some captured institutions and some politicians, that's something that really makes my stomach sick. But also at the same time, I'm not gonna give up, because it makes me really, even more fighty for the facts, because facts are a place where we meet. Facts are something we can discuss together, sit at the table, debate, have different opinions and values, but facts are the common ground for us, for the community, for the society. And when people run away from the news, when they run away from media, from the facts, they're actually running from each other in their own little echo chambers on their news feed, where they can, comment very ugly things about journalists under, some video of mine or something. And it's, just awful, but it's very 21st century. And me as a journalist, if I decided to be, and I did, to be a journalist, a feminist in 2025, so those are things I have to deal with. So yeah, it's tough. Sometimes I'm really sick of everything, but also I really see the hope, and the hope gives me the people who give me a lot of hope are actually readers and the one who are reacting and texting, thank you, bravo, keep up with the good work. That kind of support we get, that keeps me sane. So yeah, me personally, still I haven't been targeted, but as a team, all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
So we have two more questions. So what do you think the future of Serbia will be after these protests? And also, what do you think about the future of journalism in Serbia?
Yeah, those are really tough questions. And something I really think and talk with my colleagues all the time. I believe if these protests, which are really like huge, I'm not exaggerating, this never happened. And not just this amount of people, but like this kind of communication, this generation, this Gen Z that really surprised us with their values and principles and bravery. And I can only say they are so much better than my generation, like in every possible way. So like they really did something huge for us as a society. If this society doesn't use that opportunity that we got, so with some surprise, I really am afraid, not just for this country, but also for the journalism, because repression is gonna get worse. No autocrat, got back to be a good boy or good guy after they moved their own boundaries. No, we already have arrests, police coming to faculties like just yesterday, targeting, as I said, journalists, and police coming, to raid our office. It's gonna get worse. So it's not me being pessimistic. I just see the pattern, and it happened. I hear a lot of times in our public lately. Is going to be a change, some change, or we're going to be some kind of a Belarus in the future with all controlled media space and with shut down critical voices completely. So we really live in a time of huge crisis, in a good and in a bad way. I don't want to predict, for one reason. I couldn't predict that this is going to happen, because if you asked me like in 25th October last year, what do I think about the new generations or students, or do I expect some protest or change? I would say like, I don't know. And then 1st November, the canopy collapsed and everything changed. These young people showed that they exist and they're strong and smart and wise. So no one saw them. So I think no one from us should have the opportunity to predict, because obviously we weren't right for a very long time. And the destiny of journalism in Serbia is well connected with the critical voices in general, activists, civil society, and state of democracy. We are basically, a police state with a lot of surveillance, and a lot of people are now in jail, sitting basically forgotten by the public. It's really dark time, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last. What's next, I don't know. As I said, I'm not giving up from journalism, but maybe someone gonna make me to give up. I don't know.
Thank you. And the last question is, do you think there's a positive way to use deep fakes?
I'm going to say no, because I think the consequences is the cost is bigger than the benefit. And I think the as time goes by, real journalists and real people like you and me is going to get more value, because all of the AI generated text and images and the fake art, which is not art. I think the human produced content is going to get significant attention and value in the future, because that's something is going to be exotic and rare. And one of the things I want to share that with you, I heard as an advice from the colleagues from India. They're dealing with also some kind of repression, their media. They said like one of the ways to build our resilience as a journalist is to become some kind of I don't want to sound banal, but like some kind of news influencing persona as much as possible. That's how you keep yourself from the cuts in the in media, from the being forgotten in the society. You have to be public. I mean, there's a lot of people, introvert, who doesn't like to use social media, and that's completely fine. But like, find some way to be present, to be where people are, and to share some facts with them. So I'm gonna vote against deepfake, because there are so many manipulation. We need more facts. That's something that we have a lack for.
Sorry, there is one more question that just popped up, and it is said, AI is a good tool to help us in work, but do you think we as journalists are in danger of being replaced by AI?
I think they're gonna try. Capitalistic business owners are probably trying to replace us, but I think good journalism is not gonna be replaced. It's gonna be more valuable. As I said, made by human, it's gonna be a very valuable trademark. And I don't think we should be afraid. We should just be smart, be wise, use it for us, use it for the boring part of our jobs, and then be creative and more investigative. Just use it as a tool. That's my opinion for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also want to ask you one question, Liliana.
Please do.
Could you describe us the situation with freedom of press in Serbia? Because the main topic of this festival is press under pressure and media capture. And when you told us that one tabloid published something even sooner that it happened, that it's like proof that it's the connection with government or something like that, and it's scary. So I would like to know more about freedom of press in your country.
Yeah, actually, 3 tabloids at the same time, in 2 minutes, like they published it, and then 20 minutes later it happened. When we talk about freedom of press, it's going down. I mean, all the reports, Reporter Without Borders and EU reports are showing the same, like it's going down. It can be worse always, to be clear, like always. But for now, we have like in register, I think officially couple thousands media, like different kind of media. But one of the very successful propaganda maneuvers that happen here are actually that we have like a fake pluralism of media. You will have like a bunch of TV channels, like enormous number, and like basically no investigative journalism among them, no interesting critical voices or facts. They're just repeating some easy stories or some distorted reality pro-government. So we have like fake pluralism. Tabloids used for targeting and basically destroying critical voices, making noise and using for fear mongering, creating crisis when you don't have a crisis. Even when we had like a peaceful time, tabloids are going to create some fear mongering scenario, possibly war in Kosovo or war in, I don't know, in Bosnia, or war, just to disturb the public and push the violence and fear on air. So what we actually have on field are like the small islands of good journalism, very small newsrooms with small team of people doing the good work, and those people are targeted with SLAP, also with SLAP acts. So you have to deal with the courts and all the processes, which is another obstacle. And it's exhausting. Environment is extremely hostile. You can be targeted at any time, of your life or occasion. And incidents are happening all the time. I think there are less physically attacks on a journalist, but there are much more threats happening. And just today, actually, is anniversary. I think 26 years, if I'm not wrong, 26 years from the day when one of our famous journalists was killed on the street in front of his home in Belgrade. And we have in the 90s and early 2000, 3 journalists killed. None of the cases is solved. That was like the promise of every government and the prosecutor. They didn't solve those cases, and I think it tells a lot, because their death was really, as some sources say, part of some Secret Service maybe cases. Who knows? But like, they're not solved, and that's really something that we always have to highlight, because we are society and state where journalists were killed and no one actually from institutions care.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions? Somebody? No? Okay, so thank you very much, Miliana. It was a pleasure. I really like your presentation. I think you have a cool job to detect the disinformation. And yeah, I hope we will stay in touch in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your attention and for really tough questions. I really hope I helped you just, with the little pieces of the advices and knowledge I've gathered. As I said, feel free to reach me out whenever you want, Stanka and your students also. So I'm here, and journalism should survive, and we should fight for it, because it's a tough work, but it's for brave people, and brave and stubborn people, and we should not give up. It has its value, so keep up with the good work also.
Thank you very much, Miliana.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.